Good evening, everyone. We are back. Good evening and namaskar. We are back with new endeavor panel discussion from the platform of Igniting Power Engineers. And it is happening because of the blessings and supports of Almighty, my family, my mentors, my good wishers, my friends. This panel discussion is very important. And if we look at the NCRB reports, total deaths in India 4 lakh per year. And NCRB basically gives a report in two categories: force of nature and other causes. We talk about the force of nature, there are 7,000 deaths, and in that 40% contribution is of lightning, 2,800 deaths because of lightning. We talk about the electrocution deaths, that is the 3% of the total death, that is 12,000 deaths, and fire contribute 8,002%. Every day we get up with the news of electrical accidents, electrocutions, fire, which are extremely painful, torturous, horrible, and terrible. Let's look at the stakeholders involved in all this activity. So far safety is concerned, it starts with the planning department, government, regulatory commission, execution department, distribution company, contractor, supplier, electrical inspectorate office, finally consumers. We always take safety and regulation for granted, and the real problem is every time we wait for another accident to happen and not ready to learn from our previous experiences. We look at, we feel bad, we give our opinion, we give blame, but again at the end of the day, we forget to implement, and everyone start play victim card. Let us join hands, work together to get rid of the death trap. There is an acute need to understand the dire consequences of negligence of regulations and rules. We have to understand the nitty-gritty and intricacies involved. There is no dearth of technology and the skills available in India. We have to understand the root cause of all these things. We have to identify the fire accident prone area, because shocking visuals of people jumping from high-rise building at the time of fire are very shocking and painful. We have to stop negligence of duty, passing the bucks on others. We have to use the state-of-art technology. All the government agencies have to take sumoto cognizance of the situation. And today I am very happy all the big fish have come in the small pond of Igniting Power Engineers who carry the weight. The problem is that there are so many chiefs, not enough Indians need to walk the talk, and CA and electric inspector have to crack the whip and draw a line in the sand. We have to be in driving seat and take the responsibility and to make India free of accident. Because the rise in accident is an elephant in the room, must be discussed, needs solution. That's why we are here. We have organized this event. Let's try to trailblazers to make India free of electrical accidents. And with that, I welcome all the panelists here: P P Wahi Sir, Manas Kundu ji, and Chandra ma'am, Appavoo Sir, Rajesh, Bansal sir. Let us start our very first agenda. 40 people die every day without fail due to electrocutions. Why not our nation can be free of electrical accidents? And I would like to start that question with Bansal Saab, because every time blames goes to distribution company. Sir, kindly give your view on that point. Kindly unmute, sir. I think there is some technical glitch. I can pass on the question to Appavoo Sir, because finally the people start blaming the electrical inspector office also. What is your view on that thing, sir?
Hello,
Okay. I think yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. We are eagerly waiting for your
Okay.
reply.
Yeah, I was saying, one should appreciate the power of power. When there is no power, then you really appreciate the power of power.
True.
And power of power is there. Today, the electricity is the most useful way of using any form of power, whether it is water power or gravitational power or the fire power or the temperature power or the gravitational power. The most popular form of the power is the electricity power. And why it is so popular? It is most convenient to use. Till the power is confined into the wires of the power, then it is okay. So once the power goes beyond the power of once it goes beyond the electricity wires, then it will be very dangerous and it needs all the precautions to be taken regarding the safety. So this is my initial message. Be sure, yes, electricity is very beneficial, very useful, but appreciate the power of the power, respect it, and once it goes beyond the wires, then it can be dangerous and it needs to be confined into the wires and it needs to be confined and one has to be disciplined to use the power. So this is my initial message.
Okay, sir. As Appavoo sir, what is your message for the nation?
My message to the nation is respect the electricity power. Yes, in many places it is free. In many places it is, we assume it that it is free and it is freely available. But we should respect the power of this power and we should use it judiciously and ensuring the total discipline so that we do not end up into any accidents.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I would like to ask the same thing with Appavoo sir. You have very good experience. Now, what do you say about that thing?
See, what I have seen is I can divide the accidents into three parts. The accidents which are seen by the distribution company, the accidents which are seen by the consumers at their appliances and
Right.
hello.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah, I was showing about the three types of accidents. The accidents seen by the electricity company, the electricity accidents seen by the consumers, and the electricity accidents which are seen by the consumer at the premises or at the network of the electricity company. So my point is, we should avoid that how the consumers, the normal residents of India, they can avoid an accidents due to electricity, which is the second biggest cause. Please remember, it is the second biggest cause of electricity of the death after the road accidents. The electricity accidents are the second biggest cause of death, and that can be avoided or that can be minimized, which happens either at the consumer premises or at the electricity distribution premises. This is my worry and this is my reason why I am here today to share my experience, my knowledge, how a consumer, a normal consumer, a citizen of India can avoid such accidents either at his premises or at the network of the electricity distribution company, which is incidentally is the second biggest cause of death in India after the road accidents of unnatural deaths.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Appavoo sir, kindly give your view on the same.
Yes. Thank you, Rajesh ji and Bansal ji. You have enlightened about the recent trend and ever increasing accidents, especially for the past 10 years. It has come twofold. Now it's, as you said, it's 15,000. We are far lagging with reference to the international community. Other developed countries, we are one of the least. Last week, actually we stand at the last position, last few countries who gain more accidents per 100 million of people. Before precisely pointing out the mitigations, I would like to state some legal provisions in this. Do you hear me? Do you
Yes,
hear
sir,
me?
please continue, sir.
Yes, yes. Actually, recently in the Honorable Supreme Court of India have issued a judgment in the case of Madhya Pradesh Electricity Board contested by Shail Kumari and others in 2002, where the Honorable Supreme Court and where the Honorable Court have issued the case of conductor snapping as a strict liability on the part of DISCOM. Because why I'm stating is most of the accidents, as you say, nearly more than 40% accidents occur during monsoon. You will be guaranteed that you can be assured that 40% accidents will occur during every monsoon, whether northeast or southwest. We are losing at least 10,000 of people during this period alone. Apart from that, there are so many other accidents, whether it is AC fire or domestic. So in short, what we can say is accidents do occur at common people locations, especially at domestic and public places, not in the highly improvised generating plant industries. With just a few percentage, we can say it will be less than 3%, where people with more expertise are there and the standards are being adhered. So again, I'm saying that most of the accidents occur at the LT premises, LT installation, common people approach, where the inspections are totally neglected and where the total negligence occur from all the parts, either implementers or the users or the consumers or the contractor. I can say after doing the discussion. However, this is the overall view. And coming to the strict liability, what I want to say is, it is the treatment of strict liability comes into picture when the foreseeable risk, it is a foreseeable risk inherent in the very nature of activity is involved. See, electricity is a hazardous substance, hazardous activity. So everybody should be made accountable. Here, you can't say it is due to negligence. It is due to the mistake of the person who is walking and he unknowingly he touched the conductor, snapped the conductor. This will not come with us. So what is the meaning of strict liability is whoever shown the hazard will be made accountable. So this landmark judgment, and of course we do have a lot of regulations, standards, everything is put in place. The recent CA regulation 233 is a very good reformation actually has taken place. We will discuss what are all the things that we need to improve for avoiding, for making our country an accident free. Let's start with this is my opinion. I will continue further.
Now I would like to move to Anjuli Chandra, ma'am. Very good experience in the CA and the regulatory commissions of Delhi and Punjab. Ma'am, what is your view on the accident happenings day and night in India? 40 people are dying every day because of electrocution. What do you want to say? What is your message on that?
Good evening, Rajesh and everyone. This is a very opportune moment for us to discuss safety. We just heard about, electrocution at the railway station, a woman being electrocuted at the railway station, and other electrocution deaths are coming in the papers. So my message would be that, there should be safety everywhere. And what is it we need to find out why these accidents are happening? Are we not following the standards? Are we not following the regulations? Or are we deliberately bypassing the regulations? Like, I would like to say that there are regulations on clearances. There are regulations on how a building should not, be built below an electrical line, how much clearance should be kept from an electrical line. But when I was in DERC, I observed that, lots of people are deliberately building houses below the electrical lines and not maintaining the clearances. So, I think for financial gain, we are giving a pass to the safety measures, and we need to look into why this is happening. Is it due to the increased electrification that we are having more accidents, due to carelessness, or due to inadequate regulations, or due to inadequate fixing of responsibility? I think that would be my message, that we need an analysis on why this is happening in our country on such a large scale. Thank you.
Now, I would like to move to Manas Kunduji, who always encourage people to always talk about safety and power quality. What your view? Why all time we come across the news of electrocutions and electrical fire and shocks? What to do? What is your view on that?
Thank you, friends, and thank you, Rajesh. I think electricity is empowering us. Rajesh, Bansal sir actually already said power is power. But electricity is empowering us. Electricity is a great leveler today. But one thing we have to remember, it does not recognize whether you are a PM, whether you are a CM, or whether you are a DM. It's a great leveler. When you don't respect electricity in the manner what you are supposed to, you are going to get the adverse effect of it. Because of COVID and our national electrification program, electricity also has reached to almost last mile, and each one of the citizens are having access to electricity, which empowers him, which makes his life easy. At the same time, a common man is not expected to understand the danger of electricity. And that is where, at this level, when we sit for discussion, we must recognize this first as an issue. Most of the time, in my opinion, we do not recognize this as an issue which is of national importance. If we consider this as an issue, we'll sit down on the common table to discuss and find out the avenues to address the issue or to solve the problem, the grave problem that we are facing. In India, we are having the challenge of not by data-driven decision making. So when we do not go by data-driven decision making, the figures, what you said, they are definitely alarming. If you get to the details, probably you will be seeing there are three areas. If I want to break it down, number one, it is the domestic user or small user who are affected. Number two, it is the distribution lines in that who are affected. And when they are affected, it is mainly with respect to the electrocution and electrical shock and related hazards. And number three is the electrical fire accidents, which is happening across, which you mentioned that it's disturbing. The people are jumping from one higher floor to the down floor. And this is recurring. This is recurring. Those hospital, which has happened in Calcutta so many years back, trapping of people, which has happened even before that in Delhi city in a cinema hall for very innocent citizens. But we never recognize this as a national issue. And I think the moment we start recognizing this as a national issue and start making data-driven decision, we will be able to address it more effectively, because there is no dearth of regulation, There is no dearth of standards. There is no dearth of right, mindful people who can help. And as a customer, we have to respect the electricity because, as I say again, it doesn't differentiate between prime minister, chief minister, or district magistrate. Whoever you are, you touch electricity, you will have it. So with those opening remarks, probably we'll go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I would like to invite the person behind this webinar, this discussion to happen, my mentor, respected P P Wahi Sir. Kindly unmute and give your view on that. I am waiting, eagerly waiting for your opening remarks on the accident.
Thank you, Rajesh. My wishes and congratulations to all my friends who are attending this event. It's a very important event. I feel as power engineers, we are doing a wonderful job today, sitting together and pondering over the painful area, the accidents, the deaths. As it is, I must give all kudos to Rajesh ji that he started this mission, I think about 3-4 years back, all alone, going to all the platforms, getting the pledge ceremony from engineers, everybody. It was a few days back only, I think some friends, we in the group, you see, were trying to analyze. We could find, yes, this is a very alarming situation, but it is not catching the attention of anyone in the country. You see, why so? 20,000 or 15,000 deaths happening in a country. And that too, I think today is supported by some data, probably Ramji sent it on in the group. You see, we are the toppers in the world, you see, with the number of accidents, if we take that rate. And now it is our sacred duty to at least get awakened and awake all the stakeholders, whether they are our workers down on the ground, whether they are the electricians who are working, whether it is the contractors who are on the job, whether it is the supervisors, whether it be the inspector, electrical inspectors, whether it be, I include all engineers also, you see, who are on the subject and getting works executed, you see, whether it be the construction, maintenance, other aspects. And then above that, I think the top brass, the chairman of the utilities, likewise, I include the even leaders, even Central Electricity Authority, the Ministry of Power, and even the top, I will not hesitate to say, even the Prime Minister of the country. Because this is not an issue. As and when there is an accident, train accident happening in the country, see, there is a fiasco, everything you see gets, you see, on the social media, Prime Minister, Union Minister, everybody moving. And only thing, the difference is I find it, as I analyze in our cases, that if there is a deaths in a year, 20,000, it happens only, see, ones and twos. And once is the ones or two, probably it escapes the attention of the top people. And it is taken that let this thing go on. It is happening every day. And but this is a very serious thing, you see. And as the director at the Board of Irrigation Power, you see, my worry was since we were doing the dissemination job, it was our preliminary duty to disseminate. My worry remained, you see, also to carry out lot many conferences on. And if Manas ji and my friends, they would remember, Madam Anjuli, Chandra also. See, I particularly organized one conference on the melodies in distribution sector. And after doing that, you see, I sent the details of that conference, hard copies to all the chief executives in the country, distribution sector particularly. As I find there are 71 distribution companies. So everybody has to contribute, as you got to get awakened. And our purpose of discussion is only to awaken ourselves. Now, what is happening? There is a work going on in a house. You see, there is illiterate electrician. He doesn't know ABC of electrical engineering. Electrician, and he is being put on the job. He doesn't know what material, what standard of material, whatever he tells to the owner of the house, he does bring this material, they bring whether, and this is the illiterate guy doesn't know what type of material is required, what standard is required, what quality is required. So the work comprises of two things, I think: the proper standard of material and the quality work being done by. And then the third thing will come, you see, that the testing of that, and then the approval of that. Then the contractor, authorized contractors, they come in the picture. They don't do their job, they just stamp it as such. It is approved, connection is given, and what happens after some time is some accident or the other that takes place in that house. The pain starts, and everything, there is a problem in the house. Likewise, you see, in the country as such, I think whether it be the industry, whether it be the houses, whether it be the agriculture sector, I'm honestly worried about the agriculture sector because there are 70% area in agriculture. And if you would have gone in a field in the agriculture sector in some area, I happened to go long back on a cycle, you see, seeing what is the condition of how the things. Honestly, people, they, particularly the supervisors, the engineers, they refrain reaching the various locations in the villages. And what happens, whatever work is done by the lineman, it is considered as approved sitting in the office. Sorry to say, with all my fact-finding missions and all that, I'm telling, and that gets approved, that the distribution line is erected, whether it is tilted pole or not tilted pole or everything, stay wire, done properly, see not, and that leads to what happens, the various accidents. Even I have noted sometime in the operation job, I mean the transformer trips, then the lineman there itself, you see, he'll hand over his powers to the villagers. On the transformer. No earthing, nothing of that sort. Rajesh ji has done PhD for this subject, only to guide us and only to see that we are awakened, you see, on the subject, because a lot of deaths are because of earthing pits are, and very rightly said, I must salute Bansal Sir also. He has written a lot in the group in the last 1 week, and I also salute all my friends who have contributed in the group with their very precious views. I must adore them and appreciate them, all of them. They've really enlightened us very well. And then Bansal Sahab also says that nobody cares for the earthing. Nobody takes higher values of the earth resistance, the earth pits where there are. And I was the other day I was talking to some electrician nearby in Chandigarh, residing nearby. That guy told me, sir, leave the what you talk about earthing, as you have got the experience of 30 years. Says, sir, वो अर्थिंग तो ऊपर ही नजर आती है, बीच में तो कुछ भी नहीं है, बस आपको नजर ही आता है कोई 2 फुट 3 फुट का वो मेटालिक आपको. तो भाषा ये है, मैसेज ये है कि यारो, things are practically on the ground very very bad. और ये अब ये बैड सिचुएशन को ठीक करना जो है ना, it is really I think lot of efforts will be required. We have to be determined. We have not to get going कि ये तो बड़ा major task है, major task को ही clear करना है. कभी ना कभी somewhere we have to start. I think the Prime Minister started with the major task of creating bathrooms. The cleanliness country, maybe that he has not achieved the objective 100% so far, but he has achieved the target to some extent, maybe 50%. Maybe. That is the objective. That is the role to be played by us as engineers. We have to awaken everybody. If we don't follow the discipline, don't awaken, then the hard tools are always there. And Appavoo Sir, he has said very rightly right now that people have got to be then accountable. I remember my friend from Libya, he talked to me that I was in Libya. He told me that there was a breakdown in the system. And police came to the control room. He's told all the guys there, the operator and all that, to sit in the van and come to the police station. They say, what is our fault? No, nothing doing. You have switched off there is a breakdown. You first come our SHO, he'll talk to you. See, some hard tools have also got to be used. I always say the discipline always comes with a little staring of the eyes by parents. Not that every time you pamper your children, discipline will come, it will not come. Somewhere you have to use a little hard tool, and that stage also will come. But we have to awaken, and now I come to Mr. Bansal's words. He is basically the education. 90% of people in the country, the commoners, they need our education. 10% is technical, and publicity through various modes. How we awaken them, that is a subject. And then we see that the ignorance is over. I gave a message, this conference message, today's this event to the policy holders, the Power Pulse group, and their Vishwaji, the chairman, Uttarakhand Electricity Board, he remarked, yes, sir, what I feel like is there is the ignorance at the lower levels. See, when I was chairman, he said that people do not know much about safety aspects. So he says that then I had to approach the engineering institutions, even ask them to have the topic of safety in the engineering colleges, so that there is a awakening, so this is what I say. We have to now identify the dark areas. Concludingly, what are the dark areas where the accidents are taking place? What are the major areas where the accidents are taking place, even in distribution sector? We have to find out. Of course, transmission and generation, they are good, comparatively better areas, not many accidents. But in distribution also, we have to find whether it is what we have to do for lightning, what we have to do for violations, as the Anjuli ma'am has said, where the transmissions are going nearby. So all those areas we have to jot down what are the areas where things are planning. First part is we identify what is the problem, real problem. Then we try to find out the solution of that. What should be the realistic solution with which you see we can take corrective measures, we can create awakening. Now, Bansal Sir had told that there is an area like kites are going to be flown in near Independence Day. So many accidents, they take place because of the kite flying. So all those areas we have to identify, then find out a solution, make a blueprint, and that blueprint, by and by, we keep on discussing also very regularly. Not that you see we have one conference and matter finishes. No, maybe we have to have 100 such discussions, prepare our blueprint, and then get it executed. Even send it to all the leaders in the country, Minister of Power, Prime Minister, Ministry of Power, all the CEA, all heads in the distribution, transmission, generation sector, so that we can be through with our mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And what I can understand, I would like to give the crux of all the opening remarks. In fact, no one is free from the danger side. We all are in the same boat. But what we feel, the hole is on the other side of the boat and we feel safe. It is not the case. We are not safe at all. We have to plug all the holes. We have to take care of all the regulation. All regulations are well in place. But the real problem starts with implementations of regulations we have. Now, I am going to, with the permissions of all mentors, I would like to move to the next agenda. What are the role of distribution company, regulatory commissions, electrical expert office, and consumers to mitigate the accident happening every day? And with that, I would like to start with Bansal sir. What do you think? What is the role of distribution company to control the accident happening every day? So kindly unmute, Bansal sir.
Okay, sorry. So let me tell you, definitely the distribution company has a prime role as far as accidents are concerned. accidents of the consumers or consumer appliances or consumer animals or consumer properties are concerned. But definitely, you will agree the distribution companies are primarily busy in ensuring the power supplies, ensuring the reliability of power supplies, ensuring the cost of power supplies, and ensuring the various operational parameters of power supply. Now, there are a few key questions which need to be answered. And before that, we have to be coolly and unbiased. We have to analyze those questions and the real fact situations. Now, if we go by the Indian Electricity Act, the Act says all consumers should have ELCV or RCCV as a protection device. I'm talking about Delhi as a city. Not more than 10% consumer are having ELCB or ELCB as a protection device. And let me tell you, all of us who understand the electrical engineering will appreciate that if we have electricity ELCB or RCCB as a device in our panel, then definitely almost 90% of accidents we can prevent in terms of damage. Now, if such a critical device like ELCB or RCCB is not present in 90% of the houses, what can be the reason? Now, that is very near, that is very, very critical, need to be understood, because as per the law, as per the CA guidelines, it is mandatory. It is mandatory, especially for the 2 kilowatt consumer and above. And if it is not there, then where is the gap? Now, there, the role of regulator is very, very important. The role of regulator is not confined to only deciding the tariff in favor of consumer. If suppose the regulator decides any tariff in favor of consumer, they have to ensure a total discipline. As I again repeat, electricity empowers the consumer. Electricity has become the most common method of using any form of electricity, any form of energy, whether it is water energy, whether it is heat energy, whether it is gravitational energy, whether it is potential energy, whether it is kinetic energy. The most common use of energy form is the electricity energy because it is the easiest way of use of any energy. But on the other hand, it asks for certain disciplines. So it is role of the regulator to guide the consumer that in case you go for electricity and energy, to use it for any appliance or for any application, you have to follow certain guidelines. As I gave you example, ELCB, which is mandatory as per the Act, in Delhi alone, the usage of electricity is not, use of ELCB, sorry, is not even 10%. Now, where the gap is, does the regulator has ensured just by the law, just by stating the law that, okay, you have to use, you have to install the ELCB. Nobody is following this. 90% of the consumer are not following it. Now, how we will ensure it? Now, we cannot be goody-goody always with the consumer. We can be goody-goody with the consumer in terms of tariff and other things. But as far as disciplines are concerned, you have to empower the distribution company. You have to empower the electrical inspectorate so that anybody who does not follow the who does not follow the discipline, the basic discipline, the example I gave, the electricity, the ELCB, usage of ELCB, usage of MCB, periodical inspection of wiring, that should be followed by the consumer. Incidentally, because of whatever reason, whether it is political reasons, whether the regulators are selected by the politicians or otherwise, they are not enforcing it. And the true example is Delhi, where not even 10% of the consumer have ELCB or RCB. Now, this is a basic protection device. If we do not follow the basic protection device and we want to explore the maximum benefit out of the electricity connection, then definitely we we are inviting accidents. Now, who is responsible for these accidents? If the compliance is only 10%, is it regulator? Is it consumer? Is it the lawmakers? Or is it the discoms? Definitely,
Can I come in
you
on
all
this?
can devise into, you can all design into it, you can all give the opinions to it. But what the power the regulator has or the electrical inspectorate has given to the discoms, that if any consumer does not install ELCB, does not install the protection device, what they can do? They can do anything. Can they disconnect them? Can they disconnect the supply? Or they are helpless in that. So that is the thing which is very important. You know, if you empower the consumer with electricity as a power, then you have to give them certain responsibility. Who will give them the responsibility? Is it the regulator or is it the discoms? The regulator is supposed to keep a balance between the discom and the consumer. Incidentally, if they pass all the regulation in favor of discom, ignoring the responsibility of the discom, only citing the responsibility of the discoms and not the responsibility of the consumers, then we will end up into such types of accident. This is my belief.
Okay. Now I would like.
Can I come in on this?
Yes, ma'am. I'm coming to you.
Rajesh, can I come in on this?
Yes, ma'am. I want you to give your answer on that.
Hello,
Yes, please continue, ma'am.
Rajesh.
Ma'am, please continue. We are getting your voice.
Yeah, as a regulator, as a past regulator, I would like to. Yeah, is it audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Audible.
Audible.
Yeah, as a past, I've been regulator and I've worked in DERC and PSERC. I would like to say that regulations are available that an RCD should be installed on all the consumer premises. And, in the beginning, when a new house is electrified, it is the duty of the licensed electrical contractor or the chartered safety engineer to ensure that the RCD is available. And most of the time it is installed. However, I would like to say that afterwards the consumers bypass it because it keeps on tripping. There is some leakage or the other. So, there are a lot of nuisance trippings of the RCD. Now, the regulation says that the RCD should be installed and it keeps on tripping. So, consumers do not want their power supply to go off as power is power. So, they bypass it. But mainly, yes, regulator can ensure that there is a safety audit, but to go to consumers, it will have to be the DISCOM or the chartered safety engineers or the licensed electrical contractor who can see that the consumer has installed these devices. So, regulator can make laws, but their implementation is with the consumers as well as with the DISCOM. And with the consumer, I have found in my experience that they bypass it a lot, even if it is installed. As Bansalji said, only 10% are installed, but now, as per regulations, no electrical LEC would pass the installation without, the installation of a RCD. And once it is installed, I do not know whether it is removed. That is the experience of the DISCOM, or whether it is bypassed. To my mind, it is bypassed by the consumers, and we need to educate the consumers that this is very vital device for their safety, and they should not bypass it. They should find out why it is tripping and why they need to bypass it. That would be my answer.
Now
Yeah.
I would like to move
So,
to
Dr.
Rajesh.
Rajesh, I would just like to add one thing.
Yes.
Tomorrow, if any person who is riding a scooter does not wear the helmet, can we say that it is the responsibility of the traffic police? We have to understand why he is not wearing the helmet. The regulator cannot go away with the responsibility why he is not wearing the helmet. That is the most important thing. We have to understand the social behavior. We cannot just pass the policy maker, the regulator, they cannot just pass the onus on the regulator, on the distribution company alone. They cannot
No,
just
no.
pass the onus on the traffic police that they have to ensure that the
Bansalji,
person who
I'm
is
saying
riding
that the
a scooter,
consumer,
he has to wear a helmet. Now, the question is the awareness. Who will do the awareness? Is it the regulator? Is it the policy maker? Or is it the discoms? This is very, very crucial. Who will do the awareness?
exactly, that is what
If
I'm
we have to wear the helmet, somebody has to wear the helmet. You cannot just tell the traffic police, okay, make sure that everybody wear the helmet. When the traffic police is reverting back with the data that not even 10% are wearing the helmets. So the law which has been formed, the directive which has been formed is a toothless directive. It has no meaning. It has no power. It has been not implemented. So who has failed? It is not the consumer who has failed. It is not the discom who has failed. It is the one who has passed that directive. They have failed. Now, this is very, very important. Consumer are not following it. Now we are saying any new consumer, any new connection we are ensuring. What about the existing consumers? The 90% of the consumer, only in a year, only 4% consumer are the new, 96% are the old consumer. They are not following that directive. And we are expecting India with the accident free. What is the direction for that?
Well,
Can't
you
we
know,
give
there
it
is a
them?
provision for
It
periodical
cannot be good if
inspection.
them. Why can't we make a directive that anybody who does not have ELCB, disconnect them? We have no such directive. We are talking about the only new connections. We are not talking about the existing. As rightly said, electricity does not distinguish whether you are an old consumer, you are a brother of six sisters, or you are a lone son, or whoever you are a rich man or a poor man. Whenever there is an accident, there is an accident. So why we have not a clarity about nobody will get electricity if you do not have ELCB? Why only new connections? Why not existing consumers? This is the biggest repercussion. Similarly, earthing, we have discussed about earthing on our group also. We are discussing about earthing. We say earthing will be provided by discom. Now the law is very clear why the earthing will be provided by discom. The earthing will be provided by the discom in the panel only for the equipment for the discoms, not for the consumer discoms. Now we have misinterpreted it. We are saying we are giving immunity to the consumer. We are not forcing them. Why don't you have a proper earthing? Now these are the things, unless and until the regulator gives us a clear verdict, regulator has to take a bold step. Regulator has to act as a person who has to give us clear guidelines to the consumer. You have to have ELCB, you have to have MCB, you have to have proper earthing, then only you are safe. If we do not give them pass line, if we just give a directive which is toothless, which does not give any empowerment to any department, we are bound to an accident. And let me tell you, the figure which we are telling is just 1/10 of the actual figures. Why? I am telling you, this is based on my experience as a CEO. Many people, they do not report. They have a fear their house will be demolished. They have a fear their wiring will be checked and other things. We have all these things, and if we want to control it, we have to give a real awareness program to the consumer. Yes, gentlemen, ELCB is not to just get a connection. People are putting ELCB just to get connection. No, they have to be told it is not for connection. It is for their regular supply. They have to put MCB not just for connection. It is for the regular supply. They need earthing not only for connection. It is for the regular supply. And this is where a regulator has to keep a balance between a distribution company and the consumer. If they, by political means or by any means, if they just put a directive only for the distribution company, but not for the consumer, then definitely, yes, they are subjecting to the consumer to the potential dangers. They have to be aware. They have to put the facts They have to put the awareness program. In fact, why not the awareness programs are conducted by the regulators, by the discoms? The regulator has a big responsibility towards the consumers and so towards the distribution company. They have to maintain a balance between the two. And unless until we keep a balance between the two, we have to ensure that safety is a program for the primary education, safety is the program for the consumers, safety is the program for the distribution company. Then only we can ensure the safety. If we say you need ELCB only to get connection, the day you get connection, you can remove your ELCB. Sorry, then definitely the regulation directives are not compliant. If they are putting the MCB only for when they get the connection, and once they get the connection, sorry, we cannot have a safer India. Similarly, for the earthing, they are putting the earthing or they are looking for the earthing from the distribution company and they are not putting their own earthing, then definitely we cannot have safer India. All of us are talking about 15th August is coming. We are talking about metallical manja. Everybody knows what will happen if a metallic manja touch a 220 kV line. When you glide, you have a kite flying, and when the kite thread, it touch a 220 kV line, 60 kV line, which is a metallic thread. You can imagine what will happen to the person who is touching the manja. There is no electrical engineering, there is no science. And then we are saying distribution companies should do the awareness. Yes, distribution company will do awareness. Why can't we blacklist it? Why can't we ensure it is more dangerous than charas? It is more dangerous than any drug. How come that such manja, metallic manja, Chinese made manja can enter into India, which is a death trap? It is no way. The policy, the Ministry of the Power, the regulators, they cannot go away. It's not up to the discom. How can such material can enter into the country? One has to really think into that direction. It is very, very important. And lastly, things which I told Dr. Wahi also and Dr. Rajesh also, all tape joints, they are potential death traps. Let me use the word, all insulating joints are death traps. All insulating joints, once they are exposed to the sun, they lose their insulation property, they lose their all properties. And if they are buried into the sand or if they are exposed to the wind, once there is a moisture, means entire pole, entire earth, everything is electrified. And that's what it caused the death. Why the hell we are not having that, electrical insulating tapes be used only for temporary jointing, unless until you have a permanent jointing. Who will definitely DISCOM cannot pass this directive. It is the responsibility of the electrical inspectorate. It is the responsibility of regulator. Cannot be goody only with the consumers. They have to guide him. They have to direct him. They have to regulate him. They have to pass the directive. Unless until we are tough with the consumer, we tell them about the discipline, we cannot expect any reduction into death. We cannot expect any lower accidents. It is very, very important. See, let me tell you, electricity, if it empowers you, it creates the equal opportunity of accidents. And once a person is empowered, he has to be disciplined. And if we don't talk about the discipline, we only talk about the empowerment, it is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Whether it is electrical vote, whether it is any form of power. So once we give them the power, we have to tell them that their role and responsibility. And if we don't tell them their role and responsibility, just saying by the law, and if the law, we agree that it is not enforced by 90% of the people, it is equally responsibility that we should look into the law, why it is not enforced by the 90% of the people. Why in Kerala 90% of the people follow? Why in Maharashtra 90% of the people? Is it a failure of the DISCOM, or is it a failure of the regulator, or is it the failure of the consumer? Unless until we decide that, we cannot have it. Certainly we need awareness. Certainly we need the availability of the appliances, but certainly we need a clear awareness and publicity program from all the stakeholders that these things are critical. The students, even to a child, we have to teach them why the safety is necessary, how the electricity empowers you, but how to manage electricity and what are the disciplines one has to follow when you use the electricity. These are my views.
Thank you. Now I would like to go to Appavoo Sir. There are two questions to make. One is who has to provide proper earthing, as Bansal Sahab has said that the distribution company has to provide earthing at the DT only. Then secondly, I am worried about the death because of touching of electric pole. What is the solution you have for that to reduce, to mitigate that death? Appavoo Sir.
Yes. I think I do not want to have a lengthy speech. I want to be specific. I want to walk the talk. Since you have raised a question on technical issue, it may take 1 hour. I don't want to directly. In a single simplified approach, I can say. As per regulation 18, see, my purpose is not blaming every criteria, every stakeholders. Actually, there are clear-cut regulations which fix accountability under regulation 45(5). It fixes accountability, test every circuit, and it prescribes forms. See, we have to be specific under what regulation who is responsible. Otherwise, we will be missing. Under this regulation, under regulation 18, DISCOM is accountable. Under regulation 45(5), this owner is accountable. Under regulation 33, the owner again shall always maintain his installation free from safety, free from hazard. So there are several areas we can pinpoint. Actually, the regulation has now, regulation 2023 has now come out with a comprehensive approach in which it fixes responsibility to the consumer as well as the inspector. Everybody is given responsibility. Our purpose is to educate the general mass. If this is available, if this is missing, you come to our rescue. We will show. We will be our aim. Then only, whether it is a consumer, whether it is an inspector, whether it is a DISCOM. You just say, as per regulation 18, DISCOM is responsible to provide a earthly terminal. But consumer has to connect his earthly terminal to this. The consumer is not aware what will happen in the DISCOM installation. If there is any, this again a technical, since you are raised, I am answering, I am interested in this subject. Somebody can take a note of it. IEC, this is IEC. Why IS? We have to contribute. Then only IS will be flourishing, or it will be on par with the international. It is our contribution. Why regulation? Why standards? Why regulatory codes? Everything is lagging. Is because of our reluctance in offering our remarks, our contribution, our fight with those organizations during the initial stage also. They have provided everything in the website. Are you participating in any of the ISIPS website or CE regulation? Very few people. I don't say the panels here are some people. We are all doing, but only very selective approach we are having. So coming to our point, as per regulation, it is supplier has to provide a earthly terminal and consumer has to connect it. But unfortunately, in the whole of a country, consumer cannot connect. If he connects during earthfall, the voltage, for example, if there is a ST side earthfall, the voltage will be impressed upon the consumer equipment as well as consumers earth to the power from the earth. That is the touch voltage. Another is the impressed voltage. Both are possible unless you provide a very good arrangement. Here, whatever the internal arrangement you are providing a MCB, cable, LCD, everything. But if there is a lacune, if there is a missing in the supplier side, especially during the HG fault, which can induce a voltage. It's a power frequency temporary voltage. This is not a lightning surge which can perish within microsecond. It is a temporary over voltage. It will persist till the substation breaker is off. Consumer is not aware. What is will be the duration? What will be the temporary overload? That's why BIS has clearly put forth, IS 782 clearly put forth the accountability with the supplier. So he has to devise, he has to interconnect his earthing system of body as well as neutral and minimize the touch voltage at the consumer premises. Then only he can extend the. So electricity is a complex nature of subject. If you attend one point and leave other points, we can't assure. If you provide ELCP alone, it is only a secondary production. If you neglect everything and if the supplier neglect the supply system, proper everything, and restrict his time of breaker tripping, then consumers are helpless. They don't have any concern or any right over the DISCOM property, DISCOM installation. They don't know the fault level, they don't know the efficiency value, nothing. They can provide within their premises a very good arrangement for which they rely the contractor. The contractors are again accountable as per regulation 29. So contractor shall certify, though there is no specifically stated, the consumer has to submit the application, test every circuit and submit to the supplier. Supplier has the right to reject the supply. Even after getting a certificate, he has the right to reject the supply. Because if he finds that it will endanger his installation or consumer, he can reject. So we can't simply blame the BIS or CE regulation. You have to find out. You have to find out the ways and means. That's what I am saying is there are clear-cut 3-4 points. If you address these points, then we can be sure that we can minimize most of the accidents. Otherwise, there is no use of blame one other. That will not come out. It will create only ego only among the different organizations. We have to get along with the organization. We have to make them to do it. For example, that is a provision under CESE, Competent Electrical Safety Engineer. It is, it was already notified in the CE regulation 6. As the CESE will inspect, beyond which voltage electrical inspectors will inspect. Unfortunately, in our country, we are having nearly 100 crores of consumers. But we are taking care of just 1 crore of consumer through electrical inspectors, where the accidents are just less than 5%. More than 95% accidents occur in other areas, which are totally neglected without any inspection. For which the CESE has to be initiated and has to be strengthened. We require more people to verify the installation, which is totally missing. As per IS 732, as per NEC, both are made mandatory under the present CE regulation. They have done a wonderful job. That has been made mandatory. Without the mandatory observance of verification, that is whether earth loop impedance test, we are not aware. We think that earth resistance is sufficient to test. Not so. We should, there are so many other parameters. So only the licensed contractor and the consultant as well as the electricity installer should be sensitized to minimize accident first at the LT premises and the creation of CESE by the state inspectorial organization. It is totally missing Maharashtra. So these are the roadblocks that we have to avoid and then approach the regulatory authorities to what they call to strengthen the implementation process after addressing these issues. This is my opinion, sir.
Sir, my second question is to be answered. That is how to avoid the electrocution touching the pole every time in every monsoon. We see these videos in social media. What is your view how to avoid it?
Before you get into that question, can I come in into the previous one?
Please. Please
Though we have reached the time 18:15 already, but I would definitely like to not enjoying in the issue. Again, I am stressing on that. We need to recognize the issue as an issue and
Yes.
put our mind together to solve that issue.
Yes. true.
Having said that, we can have wonderful regulation, but it is like understanding an income tax act. A common man does not understand. Ultimately, he goes to the chartered accountant to do it either good or bad for him. The distribution company has enormous power to disconnect from its supply network anybody who violates the conditions of supply. The conditions of supply are stipulated by varieties of regulations and codes of practice under Indian standard. Now, the institutional limitation at our end has made it very difficult to reach every consumer, except for the new consumer, because when the new consumers are appearing and asking for the electricity supply to connect to his premises, then it is attended to, but that is also not attended to in the manner in which it is to be attended to. So if you are asking for a new connection, it goes through a validation process of the health of the electrical circuit and everything internally, and then it is connected, and it is done all through some licensed electrician or licensed contractor. The responsibility basically by the act is given on the electrical inspectorate. One electrical inspectorate will have only 50 staffs across Maharashtra, kind of huge state. It is not possible for him to reach. So he gives the electrical inspection again downloaded to the utility. For utility to reach a 1 crore customer, it is again not feasible. So it's all on paper, very fine, tick mark, whether it has been observed or not, and some values which are supposed to be like mega and ELCV is there or not, and then it is passed through. After that, if anything happens, then it is definitely the customer's responsibility. Old customers, because there was no periodic inspection involved, old customer will continue in the same manner. And when it continues in the same manner, even the new customer who has put ELCB, if it is causing inconvenience to him due to faulty wiring or faulty equipment, then he will be the first one to remove that inconvenience with the help of a local electrician who may not be a licensed electrician and educated enough. Here, I feel very strongly the responsibility of the distribution company as well as the regulatory mechanism in our country with their institutional limitations comes very important. And customers will not be unwilling to pay even 1 paise per unit if it is created for a dedicated fund for a customer education on safety as well as periodical visit to the establishment of customer, seeing what is the physical condition, and thereafter if it is needed by validation, it can go for further testing and validation, whether to disconnect or whether to improve upon and do it. The second point, the customer education is extremely important. Most of the regulatory commission is having by act the provision of consumer advocacy group, which they approve. The consumer advocacy group, they come there with very short-sighted vision sometimes, except in very few states, because our civil society voice is not very strong. And when that consumer advocacy group comes in, it is the regulatory responsibility to empower them for channelizing their energy for educating the customer in a particular manner which they would like to see the change. So these two institutional mechanisms, if it is brought in place, I think what we will achieve, at least will give some teeth to the regulation, the outreach of the regulation, what is it there, and how do we practice the regulation in our daily life. Even after that, there will be number of challenges. We as human beings will always violate ourselves. There, the accountability has to be very clearly defined. I think often we engage into Delhi and Mumbai, the metro cities. If you go to the worst rural land, mostly served by public discoms, the apathy, what you have heard Mr. Wahi or Mr. Appavoo, what they mentioned, is absolutely because our engineers and linemen, their tire does not hit the ground. And today, by the name of cost cutting, we have started outsourcing even our brains. And when we do that, if our tire does not hit the ground and we go on cost cutting, here again, the data-driven decision has to make a differentiation between public and private discoms and its management. If the regulator puts an exemplary fine for each life lost onto the distribution line in the rural area, vis-a-vis urban area, you will see there is a change of attitude. This has started happening in Gujarat. This has started happening in Odisha. Why it cannot happen in other states? I simply wonder sometimes that is it the matter of attitude? Is it the matter of recognizing that it is an issue and how do we address it? Or is it the matter of fixing the accountability at the right place at the right time? It is nobody's business to do mai. We should avoid doing that. Then only we'll be able to help few life of Indians who are our fellow citizens or who are just not equipped enough to understand that what kind of supply we are getting, whether we are getting earning, whether we have to put ELCV. Earning also, in the whole country, different distribution company, they are supplying in a different manner. You are supposed to supply TNCS, somebody supplies in TNS, somebody supplies in TNC. These are all technical matters. We need not get into here. There are differences in supply distribution system itself. It has cost implications, and the regulator has to understand that cost implication if they expect the distribution company to give the earning at the customer's terminal. So with that, I think it's a matter of attitude, the education, and the implementation on the ground without, taking sides that this is not my fault, that is his fault. We're a huge country, huge population. If we have to address that, only common mind, together working, can address step by step. Thank you. For the next one.
Yeah. Dr. Rajesh, can I say something? Dr. Rajesh?
Sir, request.
Dr. Rajesh?
Sir, I want
think
to
it's-
answer the second question first. How to mitigate the
Yeah,
accident?
Dr. Rajesh, can I say something to Dr. Rajesh? Can I say something to Mr. Manas what he said?
Please continue, sir. Please.
Yes.
One thing I want to like to, and which I appeal to the Indian electricity industry particularly, they cannot go away with their responsibility. Today, the problem is why the people are not installing protection device, because they are not proper electricians which are available. Where don't install ELCB, there is a nuisance value attached to it. Now, who will educate that electrician? Do they expect the Ministry of Power will educate, or the regulator will educate, or the Department of Power will educate, or the distribution company will educate? And why not the manufacturers will educate them? Why the manufacturer are making ELCB but not educating electrician how to install or how to do a proper wiring? This is the biggest problem. The Indian electricity industry are washing away their hands totally from that. They are making protection devices, but they are not educating the electricians how to do proper wiring. And this is my biggest problem. The electrical industries, they are making equipment, but they are not telling how to rightly install the electrical equipment. It is something similar. You know, lastly, I attended one seminar. वो बोलते हैं केबल तो हम बहुत अच्छी बनाते हैं पर जॉइंटिंग कंपनी खराब है. अरे भैया, जॉइंटिंग कंपनी आई कहां से? इट इज नॉट द पार्ट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री. अगर इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री में जॉइंटिंग खराब है तो एज गुड एज केबल खराब है, क्योंकि बिना केबल जॉइंटिंग के नहीं लग सकती. अगर आप ईएलसीबी बना रहे हैं, ईएलसीबी प्रॉपर इंस्टॉल करने के लिए आदमी नहीं है, दैट मीन्स इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री ने अपना काम प्रॉपर नहीं किया है. एंड दिस इज द बिगेस्ट फैक्ट. आज की तारीख में हमारी ईमा को ये हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड देम दैट दे हैव टू ट्रेन द इलेक्ट्रिशियन. व्हाट डू दे एक्सपेक्ट? डू दे एक्सपेक्ट द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पावर विल ट्रेन द इलेक्ट्रिशियंस? डू दे एक्सपेक्ट द रेगुलेटर विल ट्रेन द इलेक्ट्रिशियंस? व्हाई द इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री आर नॉट ट्रेनिंग द इलेक्ट्रिशियंस? इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्रीज हमारे यहाँ जब तक प्रॉपर मैन पावर को ट्रेन नहीं करेगी तब तक हमें प्रॉपर वायरिंग नहीं मिलेगी. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ब्लेमिंग अदर, they said that they were blaming, they're passing the game. No, this is very very important for electrical industry. जो भी वो डिवाइस बनाते हैं, whether MCB बनाते हैं, ELCB बनाते हैं, उसको वो properly train करें electricians को. And the electrical industry, incidentally, sorry to say, they are not training those electricians. Unless until वो electricians को train नहीं करेंगे, do the electrical industry tell, okay, I am supplying ELCB, but I will give you a proper electrician also. अगर आप proper electrician नहीं देंगे तो यही सारे डिस्प्यूट्स आएंगे. और ये एक बहुत बड़ी अपील है इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री से. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, दिस कैन नॉट बी डन बाय द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पावर, दिस कैन नॉट बी डन बाय सीए, कैन नॉट बी डन बाय द रेगुलेटर. इलेक्ट्रिशियंस को ट्रेंड करना एक इंडस्ट्री के लिए मजबूरी जरूरी है, बहुत जरूरी है. इंडस्ट्री का प्रोडक्ट तभी ही बिक सकता है अगर वो प्रॉपरली इंस्टॉल हो. तो मेरा ये कहना है, इंडस्ट्री ने इंसिडेंटली हमें एक बहुत बड़ा गच दिया है कि जहां पे उन्होंने प्रॉपर हमें इलेक्ट्रिशियंस नहीं दिए, प्रॉपर ट्रेन्ड मैन पावर नहीं दी की. एंड इसलिए मेरी ईमा से रिक्वेस्ट है कि वो, एंड मिस्टर मानस से रिक्वेस्ट है कि वो प्रॉपर इलेक्ट्रिशियंस दें जो कि प्रोटेक्शन डिवाइस, वेदर ईएलसीबी है, वेदर एमसीबी है, वेदर ऐसे है, उसको प्रॉपरली इंस्टॉल करें. एंड दे हैव टू ट्रेन, दे आर द एक्सपर्ट्स. सीए इज नॉट द एक्सपर्ट्स, रेगुलेटर आर नॉट द एक्सपर्ट्स, डिस्कॉम्स आर नॉट द एक्सपर्ट्स. आप लोग डिवाइस बना रहे हैं, आपको समझ में आता है आपका डिवाइस कैसे इंस्टॉल होना चाहिए. आप लोगों को वो ट्रेनिंग देना बहुत जरूरी है. एंड इंसिडेंटली ट्रेन्ड इलेक्ट्रिशियंस का ना होना हमारे कंट्री के लिए बहुत डेंजरस है, जिसके कारण ट्रेन्ड इलेक्ट्रिशियंस या जो भी इलेक्ट्रिशियंस अवेलेबल है मार्केट में वो बाईपास कर रहे हैं. इलेक्ट्रिशियंस कौन होता है जो ये कहता है ईएलसीबी मत लगाइए? वो इलेक्ट्रिशियन होता है, ओनर नहीं होता है. जो 1 करोड़ का मकान खरीद रहा है वो 1500 की ईएलसीबी लगाने के लिए मना नहीं करता है. मना कौन करता है? ईएलसीबी लगाने वाला इलेक्ट्रिशियन. इलेक्ट्रिशियन क्यों मना करता है? क्योंकि आपने उसको ट्रेन नहीं किया. इलेक्ट्रिशियन सोचता है न्यूसेंस वैल्यू है, मेरा काम बढ़ेगा, मैंने जो गलती करी वो पकड़े में आएगी, इसलिए वो कभी भी नहीं कहेगा कि साहब ईएलसीबी लगाओ. वो क्या कहता है? ईएलसीबी लगाने में न्यूसेंस वैल्यू है. वो क्या कहता है? फ्यूज लगाने में न्यूसेंस वैल्यू है. वो क्या कहता है? एमसीबी लगाने में न्यूसेंस वैल्यू है. ये न्यूसेंस वैल्यू किसको लगाने में है? इन सारे डिवाइस को. ये किसके लिए जिम्मेवारी है? इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री की. इंसिडेंटली इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री अगर ढंग से इलेक्ट्रिशियंस को ट्रेन करेगी, ट्रेंड मैन पावर देगी, ट्रेंड कॉन्ट्रैक्टर देगी, ट्रेंड उसको देगी, तो ये इश्यूज को ही नहीं आते. ये बहुत जरूरी है. हम इसको ये नहीं कह सकते. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री को समझना पड़ेगा, ये मैन पावर जो घरों में जाके वायरिंग करती है, ये कौन ट्रेंड करेगा? Do they expect Ministry of Power? Do they expect regulator? Do they expect a discom? Or it should be done by the electrical industry? ये एक क्वेश्चन है, मेरे पास आंसर नहीं है. मेरे अकॉर्डिंग इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री को करना चाहिए. अगर किसी का व्यू डिफरेंट है तो मोस्ट वेलकम. बट अगर इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री ट्रेन नहीं करेगी इलेक्ट्रिशियंस को तो ये एक डिस्प्यूट रहेगा. इंसिडेंटली इलेक्ट्रिकल इंडस्ट्री इक्विपमेंट तो बना देती है पर ट्रेंड करने वाला आदमी नहीं.
I think we should go to
एंड इसके कारण हमारे यहाँ पे प्रोटेक्शन डिवाइस की जो है वो स्कैरसिटी है एंड प्रोटेक्शन डिवाइस प्रॉपर्ली नहीं लग पाते हैं, जिसके कारण एक्सीडेंट होते हैं.
Please answer the
Thank you. Thank you. Please restrict me.
Training of electrician.
Mr. Araraji, if I exceed my time, please intervene and stop me. I don't want to have a lengthy speech. Please do that.
Okay.
Do
Sir,
that, interrupt me and stop me.
Rajesh ji, can
just
I
want to
answer
put-
your question
No,
on
no,
polls?
just 1 second. I just want to put only 2 minutes time I require. I
please,
don't
please,
10
please.
or 15 minutes. See, the thing is, I am not going to propagate you provide ELCB. It's only an additional protection. We
Okay.
are all experts discussing here. We should not misguide the people. It's only an additional basic protection itself is not there. Then if you provide all the basic, you don't require ELCB at all. Why CEA has, there is a basic thing and basic exercise and detailed discussion before every regulation is put in place. We don't require actually ELCB when we provide, observe the total basic protection measures as well, and we employ TNS system. Why we insist ELCB is we are not comfortable, we are not sure about our happening, whether our air fluid equivalence will be less, ELCB will take care. So since we are not sure, we are insisting. So that is only a additional measure. If we insist that additional measure, we can't go away, do away with these basic things. This trend should be curbed first. We should educate the people in the right manner. That should be done. That is no question about that refusing the. We should educate the people. That is a parallel process. It will go on. But how it will come into picture? You should take a stick at times. It's not a carrot and stick policy. Unless we take a stick, education. In Japan, in developed countries like Japan, you just notify things. It will be observed. In our country, developing country like India, if you provide so many regulations, we will find the loophole where it can be avoided. And you insist, for example, when you insist, you put a helmet, do you expect a policeman to come to our home and take a helmet and wear it on our head? It's our duty. So unless everybody observe their area of own responsibility, nothing will come out. What we can do is, we can address the small loopholes and synergize the standards, codes, regulations to ensure an electrical free accident in India by revising certain things. There's no harm in it. That we can do. That's my feeling. That we are doing in NFE, in National Federation. We have approached the CA regulation and we are approaching BAS. They are revising the standards. Now, they want our coordination. We can't remotely fight with those people. We have to sit with them. We have to have time and energy to sit with them, to synthesize them, to create awareness with them, and then make themselves confident, make themselves acceptable to these things. They will be having fear. While we provide this relation, will it harm the people? So we should avoid those things with our expertise and with the total experience and scientific, technologically advanced international. We did not invent. We are not scientists. We just adopt the international established standards, IEC and IS. That has been empowered with the CA regulation. That is very mandatory. So our duty is where we are missing in observing, whether the regulator, whether the DISCOM, whether the contractor, whether the electrical inspector. We can easily point out those areas and we can sit together. We can easily point out the areas where the individual stakeholder is missing and list out that we are doing in NFC. That's my idea. We have to walk the talk. There's no point of speaking and wasting our people time up to 10 o'clock.
I need answers of two small questions.
Yes.
Training of
Can I-
electrician and how to avoid electrocution happening every day because of touching of pole during monsoon.
Can I answer your question, Rajesh?
Please, ma'am.
You know, there is a CA regulation which says that in 1 kilometer, at least, 3 poles should be earthed. That is very important if we are to avoid, electrocution from poles. And secondly, every stay should be earthed unless it has a insulator in between to add 2/3 height of the stay. So
Okay.
that is one thing that if we are to avoid, the regulations stipulate that at least in 1 kilometer, 3 poles should be earthed. That is one safety measure. And secondly, regarding training of, electricians, there are many institutions in our country who are doing training of electricians. I would like to say we should approach the ITIs where electricians are trained. It is the untrained, unskilled sector, people who have become electricians just by, joining wires. So we need to train those people. I saw a video recently, which was very, very nice. And it was just telling people a farmer about how to join, that if you're jointing like this, it is likely to cause electrocution. It was on the one WhatsApp group. So I feel that such short videos where safety measures like can be, brought out for the electricians also in addition to the training, it would be very helpful.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to get answer from you.
Hello.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Appavoo sir.
That is the reduction of, your exact point is reduction of accidents, electrocution due to discom. That's your question, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, every time we are getting news in social media, whenever we touch any electric pole, some electrocutions happens. What is your view and how to reduce it?
First of all, the discom installations are carried out by construction wing contractors.
Okay.
So the discom, every discom should be clearly given a program, a training program, as how to make the installations.
Okay.
To avoid snapping of conductors, as Anjuli ma'am told, to provide earthing, to make the PME, that is TNC earthing connections intact, and to provide a weatherproof, say IP68 enclosures for the street lighting poles. These are all possible, I don't say, but for the new things, it is possible. For the existing also, that can be done in urban areas, especially where it is pathetic that street lighting poles, people are coming and getting into contact with those street lighting poles. It's very simple. You can't provide ELCB everywhere in installations of such a heavy magnitude. So what you can do is you provide simply the insulated IP68 protection. It's already there. Only few cost. It is a cost versus life compromise. Are we compromising the cost, or are we ready to sacrifice the people? That's the. There should be some balance between these two things. We can say that there is no compromise, but we are compromising. That's the fact. Unless we do that, or we educate, we provide a strict measures through the discom and the contractors inspectorate, then it will happen. At least for future installation, leave alone the past thing. We are going to have so many lot of installations. If it happens for the new installation, then it will be replicated. People will understand. Okay, for the new installation, I have done the earth fault loop impedance test. So let me check it for the existing installations. Also, especially for the hospitals. For example, people with feeble, with mind and bodily feeble, they go to the hospitals for getting themselves recovered. If there is an electrocution or microshock, what will happen? This is a condition throughout the country. We know the alarming accidents in the streets, but there are more alarming accidents which are not known, which is not exhibited. That accidents happen in hospitals, in home, in several places. But we know that these accidents create a panic. A person jumping from the multi-story building, a shopping complex, or a person getting entangled with a snapped conductor. These are all known to us, but there are really more than 90% unknown to us. Unless we do a proper measure, proper program to sensitize this issue among the stakeholders, we can't avoid recurrence of such accidents. This is a recurrence. The similar accidents happen. Today it happened, tomorrow it will happen, day after tomorrow also it will happen. It should not be there in safety field. Once it happens, the recurrence should be avoided. That's the aim of safety enforcement. Well, how we are going to do is that is a question that everybody have to cooperate and come to a conclusion. How, in which direction, and which we have to move with the government to separate these things for assuring safety to the general public at large. This is my.
And I think the topic is very vast that can't be covered in 1 hour or 2 hour discussion. That will continue, and we have taken very first step for technical discussion, and we will continue with that thing. And there are 2 persons have raised their hand. I would like to invite them. Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question. Gulab, kindly unmute Grish ji first. Sir, kindly unmute.
And by the way, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, please continue.
Okay, now I happen to be batchmate of Rajesh Bansal, and we debate on this issue quite a bit.
Okay.
See, like government, I've got 3 solutions. Like government pushed LED by giving them cheaper or so that majority of the households now are LED. Similar way, PLCV also could be done by government. That is one way of solution.
Okay.
That is number 1. Number 2, all the manufacturers taking clue from Bansal, manufacturers should go to all builders. Like as a marketing man, I used to go to customer to propose new product. So they should say that PLCV they should push hard that they have to use, because when I took this flat in 2011, there was no ELCV. So I had to put my own ELCV. And we all go to builders, contractors, the builders basically, like Havels, L&T, Siemens. They go to builders, so through them we can push. I'll extending what Bansal has said. Third, IITs, like Madam said, IITs are the best institute to train. But whichever electrician coming to my house for repair, I ask, are you IIT? He says no. Will you learn IIT? He says no. Why? Because he is the only earning member. I said, I'll finance your ITI. You take 2 years and manage your finances. Still, they are not prepared to do. So under the circumstances, like government has pushed a skill development program, and they are training solar engineers, so solar PV engineers. It's a 7-day program, and they give a certificate that you have attended a solar, you're qualified, you have been trained for solar. Similar program, you all could propose to a government to introduce on this safety aspect. A 7-day training on safety aspects of electrical wire. Not getting into the motor, because the ITI course is 2 years course. Nobody can spare that much time.
True.
So a 7-day program, after that they will have a small exam, and then they will be given certificate. Such thing is done by L&T.
Great.
You can approach L&T as a and it can be done, and they can give me a certificate. And no electrician should be allowed if he is not having that certificate.
Good step.
Okay, so if that is done, probably your majority of the problem will be solved.
Thank you, thank you. Now I would like to invite Mr. Photon. I don't know the actual name. They have written the Photon in their introduction. Kindly unmute and ask your question. You are free. We are here to answer. Kindly unmute.
By the way, I sponsored one electrician
Okay.
to learn. He has left his job and now learning his 2nd year now.
Great, great. It's a noble job, work you have done. I think, yes, Mr. Biswal want to ask something. Kindly unmute, sir. Kindly ask your question, sir. Vishwal Saab, kindly unmute.
Yeah. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Please,
Okay.
please.
Actually, sorry, in my opinion, dilution of regulation 31, I mean, the present regulation, CA regulation 2023, which was earlier regulation 29. Dilution of provision of regulation 31 is one of the major causes in India for creating unsafe electrical installations. We already have provisions to ensure safe electrical installation, and there is no necessity to reinvent the wheel. Instead of trying to teach the electrician is a too small a player in the scheme of things. It is the regulation 31 which says any electrical installation needs to be executed by an electrical contractor under direct supervision of a supervisor who is holding supervisor certificate of competency. Now, he is the person who is conversant with all the latest development, and he is the person who can ensure safe electrical installation. So there are many ways in which this particular provision is being diluted. For example, in Orissa, the retired electrical engineers, they are often the supervisors who never leave their own house. So the illiterate or semi-literate contractor carries on the work as per his sweet will, ignoring all the safety aspects. Similarly, people also, they engage street footpath level electrical technicians to carry out the electrical installation. Naturally, they would be not be knowing the safe practices which is required to ensure the safety in a house. So dilution of provision of regulation 31 in CEA, that is the principal cause of creating hazardous electrical installations. Okay, that is all I wanted to say.
Good point. Note it down, sir. Very good point. Thanks for your session. Now we are running out of time.
If I want to add his point to strengthen his point, like for HT termination, we require a license.
Okay.
Correct. Now, without a license, we can't do HT or termination.
Okay. Okay.
So wherever you go, HTW, they ask for a license. Similar can be introduced for LV also, but at a lesser value.
Great.
So both can be.
Suggestion. Great suggestion. Now time to get the concluding remarks from my mentor P P Wahi Sir, because there is no end to discussion on the safety. It's a very first step, and I would like to finish this very first technical discussion, panel discussion with the remarks of Wahi Sir. Kindly unmute, sir. Sir, kindly unmute.
Hello. Hello.
Wahi Sir, kindly unmute yourself.
Dr. Rajesh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, Rajesh, thank you. Thank you for today's session. I think there is shortage of time today, but we'll have it covered up in the next session, whatever points might have been left. And as I've already told, the objective, as we are told, that we have to continue with our discussion till such time we achieve our objectives. I say, just coming to the discussion, I think the last point I'll touch first is the only thing what I feel is that it's not that we have to train the electricians. There is no way out. We have to have the licensed electricians in the system only. So that is the point what we want. Once we have the licensed electrician, then a lot many problems will be saved. Now, there are two modes which have been told by us. One is through the skilled council. I think the office is in CBIP Malcha Marg. I think we can discuss something with the CEO there, what type of training they give and how they certify the electricians. I know that office is working already, and they are skilling the officials and workers in the power sector also. So this is one area. Second thing is that we have only ITI trained electricians, but I think ITI trained electrician will be a problem. All of a sudden, you cannot, as a country, it's so big, we cannot have so many electricians trained by ITI in no time. The only thing is that we have to approach the skilled council for helping us in training the electricians. You see, whatever the second route is there, and if that is a authorized route, I mean, I'm using the word authorized. If that is a authorized route, okay, we'll like to adopt it and see how practically we can get that implemented in our country. So that is a very important area, and very rightly said by, I think, some of my friends, that until unless the base man, I mean basic person, he knows something. Now very rightly Bansal sir correctly said, say people, the tape should not be used. And exactly I find, you see with my own experience, people are using the tape, it goes off after some time. People are making, the electricians are making very crude joints, see which will give way later on. So the basic thing, first point is we are talking the how we should train our electricians, how we should license them. Without licensing, we should not allow any worker to do the electrical installations, particularly in our houses and agriculture farms, in industry, where the major problem area is there. So that is the point. And then comes the contractor, who carries the responsibility to see that the work, as very rightly said by my colleague, that work has to be done under a particular supervision. And if that supervision is the authorized contractor or the licensed contractor, we have to ensure. Then the third thing comes is the bypassing. You see, it is just stamping, ignoring whether the work is done properly or not properly. We allow the things to electricity to be allowed in that premises. My question only is that does the distribution utility come in picture? And very rightly, see, as my other colleagues were talking, there should we tell distribution utility to charge that installation or not to charge it? So these are the certain areas. I think this is a long discussion will be requiring, but I'll not take more time because everybody will be getting restive to go right now. We have taken, I think, about quarter to 2 hours. But I must thank all the friends who are online, who are listening me, or the panelists. You see, my friends, Mr. Bansal, Mr. Appavoo, Mr. Manas, and then Mr. Rajesh, above all, is a person. So no doubt we had long discussion today. I think a lot of discussion, but I'll request all the speakers also to be precise and short in that point, because that time also would like to take advantage of that. To be very precise in our discussion and to the point. So
Yeah, Dr.
all
Rajesh, can I say something?
Yeah, well, I think Bansal, I think we should try to wind up now.
Yeah.
Because time is already,
just 4 sentences
because
I
once
want
we
to add.
start talking, we will take more time, and people are ready to wind up. So
Yeah,
better it
just
is,
4 sentences.
better it
just
is I
my
ask
four
Rajesh to
recommendation.
wind up. Today is already, we are very late.
Okay,
So
and
better we talk on the subject next time. There is a lot to be talked. And
Yeah, just 4
I think
general
if
recommendation
you
I have
kindly
for the
agree.
consumer.
Pardon?
Just 4 general recommendation for the consumers.
And what I want to say, that we should close today and we can talk whatever it is. You see, next time, I think, Bansal, if you kindly agree with me.
sir,
Rajesh-ji?
with that note, I would like to say thank you to all the panelists who have accepted my invitation, and thank you everyone, all the participants who spared their valuable time to be here. And I think we have to exercise the power conferred by regulations. We have to do the implementations of the rules and regulations that are well placed, available.
Yeah.
To get up is
Yeah.
not the end, it is a beginning. It's a new beginning, basically. It's not the end. We will meet again. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the almighties, my
So-
family, and
So
bankers.
before
Thank
you close, Rajesh-ji, my special thanks to you, then to Bansal Saab, to Madam Anjuli Chandra, to Appavoo Saab, to Manas Saab. They did very well today, and I tell you, we'll surely reaching at the destination which we have set forth. And I think we have more discussion like that. And with the help of all our friends, you see, we'll be very successfully reached there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you once again.